Hi there, it's Andrew Drasdick Jr. here to address some issues. A lot of people do not want to take some concern or responsibility when they go overseas and they establish a bank account because they want to enjoy the civil liberties of their property and the right of the doctrine of law. There is a concern for how the law in the doctrine of law and equity and the doctrine of the conflict of laws understand the Bank Secrecy Act, which is a law that's quite important if you travel overseas and establish a bank account. I was reviewing some YouTube videos that the YouTube LLC company provides its mutual concern for how the law is involved by the telecommunications industry in the United States. And I will, of the designated authority of the Department of Justice. You can look up these waivers on the internet. Several emails were generated from my Gmail account titled Privacy Policy Membership Fees and Product Costs, Illegal Bribe or Kickback, or is unlawful under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977. Contract research expenses, qualified research expenses, Title 26, Statutory Laws of the United States Revenue Code, Section 41B. Offers that may be accepted by United States Attorneys General, Title 28, the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 0.160D. Reference to evidence rules, the Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 408, Internet Routing Protocol Standardization Criteria. And those emails were sent in a packet that was insured by the United States Postal Service, which the United States Postal Service operates in the geographical sense of the United States, not Japan. So after reviewing some of the videos on YouTube, I want to elaborate on how these waivers and details to the United States Senate affect not only my law and equity and principle, but the doctrine of the conflict of laws that any issue of the Bank Secrecy Act performs, specifically with the International Banking Association of Japan. And I'll state their policy that's in the details of this video. The International Banking Association of Japan, IBA Japan, is the association for foreign banks, securities companies, and associate members based in Japan. It carries out a range of services and activities to promote a strong and efficient financial sector and support members' business interests. Public policy statement from the International Bankers Association of Japan. I'd also like to shout out to a fellow member who I made some small contributions to their efforts in this cause, that Winston Sterzel, who operates a YouTube brand called Serpentza. It's at SERPENTZA. He's been traveling to Japan and Taiwan to conduct exposures on public interest. So in the details of this video as it regards to the Bank Secrecy Act, I'm going to read in the section, in review and summary, the Internal Revenue Manual, Part 25, Special Topics, Chapter 1, Fraud Handbook, Bank Secrecy Act, Willfulness Referral Procedures, Internal Revenue Service website. Development of willfulness. If further examination is warranted to determine if a violation was willful, the fraud enforcement advisor will prepare a plan of action in the explanation section of form, and it states a form but there are many forms that you can fill out on your own behalf if there is a fraud enforcement advisor. It goes on to state how the confident informant will discuss the plan of action with the fraud enforcement advisor. I recommend reading the instructions to Form 3949 A, Information Referral, that is from the Internal Revenue Service website of the U.S. government. In those regards, where the plan of action and the fraud enforcement advisor have their discussion with the Internal Revenue Service Authority. The standard industrial classification was a system established to classify the occupational skills and business establishments or enterprises, which has been involved as to how your establishment or enterprise is understood within this communication process as a plan of action. And I'll read what the current NAICS codification currently states. Establishment defined, an establishment is generally a business or industrial unit at a single physical location that produces or distributes goods or performs services. Enterprise defined, an enterprise, on the other hand, may consist of more than one location performing the same or different types of economic activities. Each, each establishment of that enterprise is assigned a NAICS code based on its own primary activity. This is important for how the primary activity and the business is going to be involved by individual rights, where the compensation, that revenue that's earned revenue or unearned revenue, involves the Bank Secrecy Act. Specifically, I'd like to draw attention to two-digit NAICS sectors: 52, finance and insurance. Specifically, 522110, commercial banking; 522210, credit card issuing; and 5523, activities related to credit intermediation. Within the NAICS sectors, that there's some plan of action for the Bank Secrecy Act for fraud enforcement advisor to determine how the Bank Secrecy Act will perform under the Constitution of the United States, and why that it would be relevant to the International Banking Association of Japan with any account that's established in Japan. I'd like to reference that any person on YouTube who has access, and as well as all other persons who have access to the internet, can reference Wikipedia and the Wikipedia contributors that are involved by the Bank Secrecy Act, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Right to Financial Privacy Act, Telemarketing and Consumer Fraud and Abuse Preventions Act. Those are all listed in Wikipedia, and the Wikipedia Foundation offers moderation as to how they are upheld to be accurate and not fraudulent determinations in the digital encyclopedia. Additional reading: when the question of the law, that those audited Wikipedia Foundation websites are available for lay witnesses to understand how the law is to be uh, understood without legal advice. On the Wikipedia Foundation website, you can look at the Export Import Bank of China and understand its relation to the International Banking Association's policy statement of Japan, the Export Import Bank of the United States on Wikipedia, and the Patriot Act, which, when the Patriot Act was passed, the amendments to the statutory authority that those laws as substantive in the reference section, that the Bank Secrecy Act and other laws were amended, is very important if you are the responsible holder of the bank account that's in a foreign state jurisdiction, not only Japan, but throughout Southeast Asia and other foreign states outside of the geographical sense of the United States. That is the responsibility of the account holder and giving direction to the occupational skill for the durable power of attorney and limited power of attorney, that is the right and responsibility for money and currency to perform. So I wanted to make this statement today because of the earnest regards that the United States Senate and investigations for how the Bank Secrecy Act and the Internal Revenue Service, again, is offering some fraud enforcement advisor and their occupational skill with the Internal Revenue Service as an agency, that their plan of action includes a party that your personal identifiable information is being involved for your own rights to hold an account within the geographical sense of the United States or abroad, that the Bank Secrecy Act may take authority. So I wanted to do this and clarify how Japan, the United States, and China are cooperating so that there's less confusion, not only for myself and what it means to have a bank account in Japan, but for Mr. Winston Sterzel of Serpentia, a brand of YouTube, who is traveling throughout Southeast Asia and drawing attention to other public interest where financial activities are involved by persons who want to try to comprehend what's going on in Southeast Asia, not only Japan, and his efforts in China. So if people can learn from this video and learn from YouTube, I think that is the primary point and concern for our mutual regard of the U.S. Constitution and for the performance of the Bank Secrecy Act outside of the United States where accounts are held. My name is Andrew Stephen Drastic Jr., and this is my YouTube channel. Thank you.